Hey everybody, it's Sophie and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we're reviewing the third episode of the latest season of Dark Winds. And I think it's called Ghosts.
Sophie is such a good reviewer that she's like, I think the title of the episode I'm reviewing is Ghosts. That's what she's like.
There really wasn't any ghost in this one.
The ghost is in reference to the ghost of Sophie's past, which is Elizabeth, her friend from college.
Don't do that.
But anyways, Sophie doesn't like it when I bring up Elizabeth.
He's talking about my first semester roommate from 1973.
Yeah, she's always...
It's so asinine. Would you cut it?
She's always watching. And
cut it out, Marco.
But the title's in reference to just the fact that I guess BJ Vines is a ghost.
Haunting Lee porn.
Which we have not seen him as a ghost yet, so... I think that the show should actually bring him on as like a ghost because, you know, if you really lean into that culture and everything and the belief that the spirit is going to stay with him, then that would be kind of an interesting thing. Like maybe even kind of like in Batman Arkham Knight where the Joker is with Batman almost the whole game and he's kind of giving his commentary on things. That would be kind of interesting. Like a previous villain, like giving his opinion on like, oh, well, have you considered this? Well, maybe this is going on or something like that. Like, that'd be kind of cool. But the episode starts off with some kids discovering his body, his dead body, his skeleton. And Sophie, it was funny because I was on the couch with the cat Bernie playing with him and tickling him and everything, and in the background I hear Sophie saying, I don't like this. That was funny.
Well, the thing is, these two, I think there were two little girls. It looked like they were going to do this very dangerous thing where they had a board and one of the little girls was going to lay under the board, and the other little girl was wearing a little tiny helmet, and she was going to ride her bicycle, and she didn't even have any kind of head start. But they were trying to do this thing with this daredevil thing where you go over a cliff, and you go to the other cliff, where she would shoot off there, and she would have enough momentum to fly over to the other side of the cliff. I'm like, what are they doing? And you're talking, they would have been killed because at least the one on the bicycle, at the minimum, and the other one could have fallen off the cliff.
Sophie.
And so I was thinking, if they hadn't found the dead body, which stopped them then from doing that, they could have been killed.
Sophie.
So I'm like, my God, why are they doing this?
Sophie.
What?
These are reservation kids. They're different than you. They can do things that you can't.
No, they couldn't do this. I didn't even see where the other cliff she was trying to head to.
You ever see the
this
show?
Wasn't little,
you ever see the show Reservation Dogs? I mean, these are different. They're built differently. They know what to do.
No,
they know how to do
I'm
things.
sorry. I don't think so.
And they wouldn't die.
If they hadn't found... And the body, I mean, you're not talking about a body that's 3 feet below. You're talking about a body that's, 25 feet down on the ground. And it's all decayed. And because of this, if this was the body of BJ Vines, it's a year old. So she noticed the red fabric because there was red fabric attached to it, and then she could see the skull. So anyway,
ironically, BJ Vines as a skeleton is actually very similar to how interesting he was on the show last season. He was very. That's basically how he was the whole season. Like, last season, they really dropped the ball with that because that character was just the worst. I mean, he was just so uninteresting. His wife was uninteresting. The only interesting villain was, like, the bomber guy, and they killed him off before the finale. So, yeah, I mean, But then after that, Sophie, let's get into who should we talk about first? The case of the Manson family at the pepper farm, or the case of Emanuelita getting ready for a date?
Well, down this area, they grow red peppers, and they put them in at like little like places all over, markets all over the Southwest. They sell these bunches of peppers, and they're called ristras. And they had a pepper farm, so they were growing these peppers. This group of people, and they're all different ages. And
My nickname in high school was Pepper Farm.
Mark was just making that up. I don't know what he's talking about today.
I don't know either.
And why are they investigating them? They think that Joe and Jim think that those two boys had been there, and so helping them.
Because of the red truck, I think. I can't remember, because I watched this episode last night. I typically like to do reviews right after I watch something, but Safi wouldn't let me, so forgive me if I don't remember anything because of Safi and her incompetence as a reviewer.
Well, anyway, they...
But they show up to investigate, and something is definitely off. I mean, I didn't really think like anything seriously bad was going on there, but I sort of got a Manson family type of vibe, because they just acted very nice and very fake and phony. And because, the Manson family, they were fake hippies. They weren't real hippies. They were fake poser hippies. And that's exactly like what these people acted like. And in particular, there was one blonde girl, and she acted like something was very off. But I just thought maybe it was because she knew something. I didn't really think anything else, and so...
I thought she might be trafficked, and she would have been trafficked. She's one of the trafficked victims that they're alluding to, that there's trafficking going on. So that's what I thought, but you just don't... There just wasn't enough information, but she was the one that acted the most suspicious, or she just acted very guilty.
They claim to know nothing about the kids, and so then they leave.
And they were all dirty. It was weird. They all had dirty faces.
Yeah.
And dirty clothes.
Well,
I mean, it was like that they don't take...
Maybe they don't.
Maybe not. Well, out that way, unless you have a rain barrel and collect rainwater, usually they don't have any running water. So there's a lot of rain barrels out there by the...
Safi made the point before we started the review. She said they make peppers. They grow peppers. How could they be bad people?
I never said that at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh wait, no, that's what I said. Sorry, I can't remember. I keep in mind I watched this episode last night.
Well, when I watched it,
10
I got
o'clock
interrupted
at night.
about 10 times. I even thought I'd watch it again.
Anyway, they also have the storyline in the background about the FBI woman investigating BJ Vines' disappearance, and she sent the body for testing to see if it actually was BJ, and but they suspect it's him, and then actually Joe Leaphorn's wife learns about this, and she actually gets really upset because she knows that he probably killed him, and she confronts him about it. And I was kind of upset about that, because now, aren't they still supposed to have dinner with the FBI woman? Like, they never did that scene. They never had, like, a suspenseful...
No, they didn't.
So,
they haven't done that yet.
I was kind of disappointed, because I think it would have worked so much better if, like, they had the dinner without Emma knowing that he had killed him or something. Like, I think that would have been better. But it was fine. But, like, Joe Leaphorn... Safi pretended last week that he was not hallucinating the bugs all over the place. Well, he hallucinated once again this episode. Just ants going everywhere. I don't know what that symbolism is. I don't know if that's in the book or something.
Well, to me, it's a dead person.
I guess, but
that's all I'm thinking. I don't know, or an interrupted anthill, like it was dug up and they were all scurrying around to replace everything. I don't know.
It's kind of like Better Call Sal. You know what the ants get at the ice cream?
Yeah. I remember that.
That was so stupid. They spent like 5 minutes doing that in the opening, and it's like, fuck you, fuck this fucking show.
It's weird because in the books, I don't. Well, I mean, this is going to sound terrible, and I'm sorry about that, but they never make the FBI interested or knowledgeable enough to be doggedly pursuing a case. In other words, they usually don't even want to be there. And this girl, she's doing something very unusual. It runs contrary to the way they're portrayed in the books. Maybe that's not fair to them but it's kind of like when we were in Tanzania and he got posted in Tanzania as a diplomat or part of the diplomatic service. He got posted in Tanzania. That's like the last place on earth you want to be, because it's the end of the road, and it's out. It just isn't as glamorous as other places to be posted, and that's in the Southwest, way down in the corner of Arizona or New Mexico, down that area. It's just like being on that border patrol we talked about. They're not doing their job at all. The head of it's just, I don't know, but what does he do? If he's not doing his job, what is he doing? And all they are taxed, they think that they're taxed with is finding illegal immigrants and taking them back to Mexico. It's stupid.
What are you doing?
Well, it's just
what are you
her
doing?
pursuing this case
Wait.
doggedly, and she's there at every turn. And Joe Leeper's like, "Oh God, not again!" And it's antithetical to what's in the books.
Well, I guess they have to add that on because last season we complained so much about them destroying his character, and so now it's like they've got to step him back, and
I think he feels horribly guilty, and that's why he's having all these hallucinations, because he feels guilt. Because it's so bad. It's so contrary to his character, what he did last time.
Yeah.
And he's still trying to.
And to be honest, the way that I saw it, there was a part in the episode where he goes into her office and he takes out the file so that he can admire his work and look at the pictures of BJ's skeleton and be like, yeah, Indian justice right there. And like he didn't say that out loud, but that was like the vibe that I got. So there still is that bit left in him. He's still basically a little bit the character he was last season, like in the back of like who he is right now. And so I thought that was weird because why was he doing that? Like that's something a serial killer would do. Like, like they show the serial killer, like the pictures of the crime scene to see, and he goes like, yeah, that's what I did. And that's what he did. And I was like, wow.
And I think
do
it's
that?
A false premise. I really do, because even if you just take the whole show out of it and think about them as a people, I just don't. This Indian justice, it's almost like cowboys and Indians. It's like a fake thing. I don't believe it. I don't think. And he went to college, got a degree. He's not. It's another antithetical thing.
It's an immature thing because it's like...
it's stupid.
Why would you be worried about Indian justice when you're a law officer who is supposed to follow the law and not, like, do evil things yourself? Like, Indian justice doesn't mean, like, just going around killing people because they killed your son or whatever. Like, Indian justice should just mean, like, that you pursue justice as much as possible and try to, make it equal by doing your job. And because in the books, he never did anything that he was guilty about or anything, like, because to me, like, this is probably the major diversion in the show, like, the major diversion from the books is adding this dark storyline into his character. And I guess maybe they thought it would work better because he did do Fargo, and he was that character in Fargo. So maybe they thought, like, that would be cool. like to add that in, like to make it more interesting. But I think
They don't need to do that.
they should have gone the opposite way. I think that they should have made him so much more different than he is in Fargo, because that's not the character. Like, you know, Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee, he was capable of playing like a really good guy, like in Lord of the Rings, or which I haven't seen, and then a really bad guy in Dracula. And I think that if this guy's a good actor, which he kind of is, I mean, his character still is kind of boring. I mean, sometimes. Like, he's just kind of like, he's very quiet.
He's like that in the book, though. That is his character. But he's very good at investigating.
Well, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of, like, him investigating and him being really good at, like Batman, like the world's greatest detective. I don't want to see this, like, this guy who's like, oh yeah, I killed that guy and I'm going to admire my work in the police file. And then he gets a call. Better call Joe! He gets a call from the blonde girl, and she wants to meet up. And the way that she talks to him, she's talking in code. And she's talking like she's disguising what she's doing to the people who are listening to her making this call. And she meets up with him, and she admits that the little boys were at the Pepper Farm all the time, and then he actually, the head guy, Michael, I think, he took the red truck the night the boys disappeared. He was gone all night, and she didn't know where he went. And this is something I need to bring up too. They let Joe search the red truck. And it was exact. And Safi, she tried to play it off last episode, like, oh, there was a reason why she didn't really search the van. But in this episode, Joe does the exact same thing that Emmanuel Lita did last episode, where he just opens the truck door and he's like, oh, okay, there's stuff in there. It seems normal. And then he shuts the door. It's like, what the fuck is up with that?
I don't know.
That's not investigating. Like, investigating means really picking it apart and looking for anything. Any small little thing
Well, if they have a
could
search
help.
warrant, or they let them do it without a search warrant,
Yeah.
then they should just do it. What do they...
Like, just rip every single thing out of the car. You don't just open up a car door. That's not investigating. You don't just open it up, and if there's not like a murder weapon in plain sight, you close the door and leave. That's not good investigating.
So you knew that's where Emmanuel Lita got her
Yeah.
skill.
Oh.
That really, that's not...
That
right.
would be like, you know, in Silence of the Lambs when she shows up at Buffalo Bill's house at the end and she talks to him and he just comes off really weirdly and it's like she just looks inside in the front room like and he comes back up like it would have been like, oh, I don't see anything here, and then she just leaves. Like, that's what Clarice would have done if this was made by the people who made Dark Winds. Like, she would have been like, oh, there's nothing here. Oh yeah, there's moths flying around. There's all these different things that really kind of make sense that this guy's probably the bad guy. Oh, I don't see anything. I'm just going to leave. That's what would have happened, right, Safi?
Yeah.
Right, Safi?
Yeah.
Right, Safi?
So anyway, at the end of this part, remember, this is kind of like a season where there's two halves. The part where Bernie is and she's down at the border, and this part where, I don't know where they are in Gallup. I don't know, but they go back, and there's no, because the girl, what happens? He goes and finds the girl, she's drugged out.
Safi, you're jumping ahead now,
Okay,
as
well, go
usual.
ahead.
See, it just shows, Safi is a little bit strung out.
What are you talking about? Don't say stupid stuff like that.
She finished her PB&J Reese's peanut butter cup, and she's feeling a little woozy.
I did that last night.
Oh, God! You ate that for dessert? After you thought it gave me food poisoning?
No,
God,
I thought the strawberry
Safi.
one gave you food poisoning.
No, I ate the whole grape one. I didn't eat the whole strawberry one.
Oh.
Oh!
It didn't make me sick, so.
Yeah, I got sick yesterday from eating this yogurt, and it tasted sour, but I just thought it was a part of the flavor. So that was bad. But anyways, she leaves after she tells him that. She leaves really fast, like she needs to get back and be there and not, like they shouldn't know that she's gone or something. And then, so the police show up the next day, and Safi can talk a bit about how the police were, because the police show up and they kind of acted like they're in a TV show, or kind of like they're in a video game. I mean, I could have imagined, like, taking control of Joe Leaphorn and, like, shooting people or something. Like, that's what it felt like. And then,
It wasn't Joe Leaphorn and Jim Chi that looked goofy.
it was all the other police.
I don't know what I think they were sheriff's deputies, and they looked like Keystone cops. They were hunched over, and they all had. I know this is supposed to be older. In other words, this is supposed to be, I don't know, in the 70s or something. And they were hunched over, and they all had those blue shirts and their caps, and they all had these ancient handguns, and they just look like, I've been watching Grimm, rewatching Grimm, and I've seen plenty of cop scenes where they're coming in, and they look so much more professional, and these guys were all hunched over, and they had these little handguns, and they were coming onto that Pepper property. They were looking for that girl, I guess, and they just look goofy and inept and incompetent. I don't know.
Well,
weird.
and then they discover Michael, and Michael runs away. And what really bothered me, though, is that then Joe finds the blonde girl, and she is overdosed on something, and she's probably on purpose. They probably forced her to overdose or something, because they probably figured out what she did. And then Jim Chi also discovers, like, in one of the, what do you call it, the buildings, whatever.
It's probably some kind of storage house. But there wasn't anything in it.
He discovered, well, everything was gone.
It was like a barn.
And he discovers this little board on the ground. What do you call it? A tack board, a thumbtack board with Emmanuel Lita's face on it. So.
Yeah, among some other officers, but why?
Yeah, I don't know, but
he's all upset now because he's thinking, what's going on?
Oh, what's going on? She's fucking retarded. But anyways, what really bothers me is that they do not guard the red truck. The red truck is still there, and the police don't think to guard the red truck while this guy is running around trying to escape. And so the guy literally just sneaks around and gets into the red truck and leaves, and you have all these cops around, and they can't even shoot his tires or anything. They can't. I mean, I would have shot him. I would have shot him in the shoulder or something. I mean, like, if you had just shot him once, he probably would have crashed. And so, I mean, I know that's probably not the protocol, but I mean, there are.
They could have shot the tires.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't do anything.
No,
though.
that's why I said they looked incompetent and they acted incompetent.
Jim Chi tried to shoot, but even he couldn't get at him. But I just thought it was so dumb that they did not guard the truck. I mean, that's the number one thing that I would have done is that, I mean, they didn't even look in the truck. They didn't even search the truck. Like, you could have taken the time to, like, look inside the truck and, like, oh no, we're just going to stand around and wait for the scene to happen and wait for the bad guy to escape. The one thing that I really liked, because I did like the episode quite a bit. I think it's a very entertaining show despite its flaws. But I liked how Joe Sleephorn, he had a choice. He could have either gone after the bad guy, or he could have stayed with the girl and helped her. And he chose to stay with the girl and help her at the end. And I thought, see, that was a good choice, because that showed me that he's not the character that he was in Season 2. Because the character in Season 2 would have gone after him and shot him and probably blown his brains out and tortured him or something. But this character, he chose to stay with the girl and help her out. And so I thought that was probably the best part of the episode, because that showed he's not that other character.
Well, it's more in line with who he really is. I don't know what he was last season.
He was you.
Oh, Marco.
Do you have anything else to say about the Pepper Farm story?
No, but where were all the other people?
Who?
They're just scattered to the winds. They had a whole group of people
Oh,
who worked there, and all they showed was that one guy.
they left.
That was it. Where'd they go?
They fled. They did the thing where like,
They fled across the desert.
They did the thing where it's like, we've been discovered. We have to leave now. That's why all the stuff was gone.
Yeah.
Basically, except for the bulletin board, which it's weird why they left the bulletin board behind when it has a very obvious clue on it. I mean, I wouldn't have done that if I were them, but maybe it's just because they had to leave so fast. I don't know. That's fine. That's not a big issue. But now let's talk about the unfortunate one. Safi rolled her eyes.
Well, it's
Why'd you roll
it's just weird because
because you know we're gonna have to talk about.
Now we're going to talk about
Manuelita.
Manuelita. And remember, there's two halves to the story. You have the northern part, the southern part. Now we're down at the border.
Yeah.
And here we have Manuelita again, and this time there's just goofy stuff. Her boss tells her she's in big trouble because she did that check where she checked the weight of that truck, and she looked in the truck too to see if it really had whatever it was supposed to have in it. You know, it was like an oil truck or a gasoline truck. It had fluid in it, and she checked, and she could see there was fluid in it. And did she smell it or put her finger in there or anything? I can't remember. But anyway,
You wouldn't need to. I mean, I could see
well, you wouldn't have to. I guess you could smell it.
You could also see from the light. The light showed that it was bubbly and everything. I mean, it was liquidy. It was oil.
But he calls her. She goes into his office, and he acted like she was going to be fired if she didn't go and grovel to that the guy who owns all those trucks, that rancher guy that she went before, and he killed I don't know what it was, some kind of wild animal with big horns, and he said, you better make him some pie, a couple of pies. And I'm like, what? That's weird. And so she goes there, and he makes her coffee in a sock. He uses a sock as a filter, and that was another weird thing, but I thought, well, whatever. And then he didn't act like it was any problem at all that she had done that. Not at all. He acted like he didn't care.
Safi would also like to mention that it bothered her personally. It personally offended her that he said that you seem like a woman who takes your coffee black. And see, I just thought it was because she's stern. She scowls all the time. She's never happy about anything.
Well, in the book, she drinks Coke all the time.
Well, how would he know that? Has he read the books? Has the character read the books? How would he know that?
He makes this assumption. That doesn't matter.
She never corrects it, but Safi got really
because
offended by that.
That's because she's worried that she's going to offend him, but there was no offending.
No, you
He
got
didn't act like
you
he
got
cared.
offended. You got offended because you said that's not my character.
Oh, brother.
That's not my Emanuelita.
But anyway, he didn't act like she cared that he acted like she was doing her job, and there was nothing wrong with that. Then she asked him why there were two drivers. She said, "Is that normal?" And the way he explained it, it sounded pretty normal to me. He said that, there's a lot of, they go all over the area and that part of the country, and that, some of the places are very desolate and anything can happen, and they want to make sure that they're well protected. And so, to me, that sounded fine. That's a good answer.
I got the opposite impression. I got the impression that he's really getting irritated with her, and that he's kind of sick of having to deal with her already.
Well, she came to him.
I didn't get the impression that he was really like candid and nice. I got the impression that he was being kind of cold.
I just thought it's just that her boss acted like she was going to get fired in 2 seconds for doing that truck check, and I think I'm like, she's just doing her job.
Well, then she goes
what
outside.
job does he do?
Then she goes outside to do her job, which
And that
is
was,
to sneak around again. And
again, anybody could see her.
the way that she sneaks around is like a child sneaking into the kitchen to get dessert or something. Like, it was very bizarre. Like, it was like, oh, I'm sneaking around because I'm looking around and walking slowly. Like, that's what sneaking around means, right? Like, it doesn't mean like actually sneaking. Like, it's almost like in Fallout New Vegas or the Fallout games. Like, if you get like 100 sneak or agility, 100 agility, and you can just basically do anything you want and nobody will know. Like, that's what it basically was like. It's like Emmanuel Lita has 100 agility points. And so she actually looks inside that little shed that she wanted to look in last episode. And I guess there's melons in there? Watermelons?
I don't know what that was. It did look like melons.
Yeah.
Like cantaloupe.
Which is weird because he said that you wouldn't want to go in there because you would breathe in something toxic or something. And it's like, well, why are there melons in there then? And she didn't bring that up. Marco brought that up. I brought it up. And I always talk about myself in the third person. And then she comes across like a random worker there. And she's like, hey, tell me about the sex trafficking. Tell me all about it. You gotta know what's going on. Have you seen a woman and a child? Have you ever seen a woman and a child before? And the guy's like, I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know. Leave me alone. And he just runs off. And it's like, you go up to like a random worker on the sex trafficking operation and just is like, hey, what's going on with the sex trafficking? It's like, what's up with that? Like, it's just
bizarre.
Really weird. Emmanuel Lita, I mean, her character's trash this season. I mean, last season, I was like, I want to see more of her. She was kind of nothing last season. She was really good in the first season, kind of. Last season, she sucked, and then she left for no reason. And this season, she's terrible, so... Yeah. Safi, what happens next is Safi tried to deny last week that she was going to date that guy, the random white guy who works with her.
They have no effing chemistry at all.
She spends like an hour of the episode getting ready to go on a date with him and putting makeup on and curling her hair. I think her hair looks better when it's straight. And, putting on, like, a pretty outfit to go on a date with this guy. And it's like, what's up with that? Like, I thought she was, like, a strong, independent woman. Like, this would have been, like, in Silence of the Lambs, like, that random guy at the museum who asked her to go on a date. Like, it would have been, like, if she had gone on a date with him. Like, that would have been really retarded and stupid and kind of not really... I mean, they didn't really go together either. And actually, they went better together than these guys do. That guy, that ran. I don't know if Safi remembers that guy.
I don't remember that guy.
The guy at the Bug
Museum.
Museum.
These people have no chemistry, and it drives me nuts.
The guy at the Bug Museum with the.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He went better together with Jodie Foster than this guy goes to get good together with Emmanuel Lita. And so that's how bad this show is with her character. But Safi, what ends up happening?
Well, remember the murderer who covered the guy in the car with whatever that was, gravel and or sand, and that's Budge. His name is Budge, and he was also riding shotgun. He was the shotgun. They call it a shotgun driver with that the truck that Emanuelita checked. And so I actually mentioned to that rancher, she said, maybe I should apologize to Budge too. and then ask him if that was normal about having a shotgun driver with this driver. And so who shows up to pick her up? Her date? No, Budge. Budge shows up. And he had just earlier, maybe midway in the episode, well, they didn't show it, but that gun that he took from that guy he killed, he'd been the one with the white van and the mother and the daughter, and he'd been the one to steal Emanuelita's gun, and then Budge took it away from him, and he returned it to Emanuelita's front seat. She came out of her house, and there it was. The gun was right next to her. That was earlier in the episode. Then we come to this night where she's waiting for this guy she has no chemistry with to pick her up. And who shows up? Budge. So she gets in the car with him. He's a murderer, and she's suspicious of him. She doesn't know he's a murderer.
She thinks that
of him.
he's involved with sex trafficking, and she gets in the car with him. And I thought,
he
wow.
was taking her to go be sex trafficked. And I go, that wasn't in the book.
And I thought, wow, that's definitely not what her character in the book would do.
That freaked me out.
That was really, really weird. I mean, I don't think any woman would get in the car with someone that they think is a sex trafficker, because I mean it's at night. They're close to Mexico. It's like she would have been gone.
Marco thought he took her. Maybe he
They
did.
went past this gate, and they had "Welcome to Mexico" on the gate or something about Mexico.
I thought he took her to, we went to these places in Tanzania. They have these out-of-the-way places, and during the day they're one thing, like a parking garage or a place you fix cars, and then at night they're a restaurant. They're like pop-up places.
Well, they emphasize the gate. They emphasize the sign on the gate. So I thought he's taking her to Mexico to get trafficked, and I thought, well, she kind of deserves it if she got in a car with a sex trafficker. I mean, she knew what he was about. I mean, she knows he's a really bad guy, and the head of the rancher even said that he doesn't have feelings, and it's like
he doesn't give a crap about. He didn't say it like that, but about having you say sorry to him.
She gets in the car with him, and oh yeah, she brought a gun along too, and she has it in her purse. And she just so obviously, gropes her purse so that you can tell that she's got a gun in there, the way that she feels it around. It's like, even an idiot would be able to tell that. And so...
and he said something about it, too.
That was really, really weird.
But he's just taking her to dinner to some out-of-the-way place.
He took her out to a good dinner that actually made me really hungry.
I know, it looked really good.
I wonder what it was.
Oh, well... It probably included rice and beans, because they're really into that down there.
Well, I like rice.
All the other things that go with it, too.
I like rice, I like beans, and I like beer.
Pinto beans. No, he doesn't. Anyway, so, but it's fine, and they just talk, and...
He basically tells her he's the bad guy.
And he has two people with him, too, like he's some kind of boss. They're over at another table, because when he gets up to... And he just leaves her there. He said, okay, well, I'm done now.
You can find your way home.
Yeah, you can find your way home. Oh, my God.
Well, I thought at that point, maybe she's going to get trafficked on the way back. I mean, you walk barefoot. You're a woman at night in the middle of nowhere walking at night. Who cares? That wouldn't matter. You have a couple of guys with guns. That outnumbers one person with a gun.
Yes,
and but he basically says, you're not going to need that gun tonight. She might need it another night. And so, but she's just like, oh, okay, that's done now. That was kind of pointless. And she walks back past the gate. That's why I was wondering, what's the deal with this gate? This gate and the sign,
I think I might watch the episode again.
I don't understand that part.
I just thought it was some out of the way dive place that not general population or a bunch of tourists, they wouldn't know about, but it's really good.
The white one picks her up. And he says...
Yeah, her real date. shows up.
This was a
Somehow.
good date. This is like the date that I wanted to have, and it's like, yeah, you wouldn't want to have a date with Emmanuel Lita. She's fucking weird, and she gets in a car with a sex trafficker, which is like not even something that an idiot woman would do, unless like she was under threat or something. But like, no, and so that isn't that the end of her story this
Yeah.
episode? Yeah.
Yeah.
So a date with Emmanuel Lita and the sex trafficker and the Manson Pepper Farm. Safi, what do you have to say about this episode, and what's your grade? Is it like
I think I'll
because I always give
I'll
my
give it a
grade
B.
first, and then you copy me.
I'll
So,
just give it a B.
well, I'll give it an A minus because I really enjoy the show. Not to make Safi look like a jackass,
I don't
but
care.
like I give it an A minus because I love how slow the show is, while at the same time going at a good pace. Like, this is the perfect pace for the show. It's not too fast like last season, and it's not too slow like the first season. It's right there in the middle, and it's very, very well paced, and I think it's very entertaining despite the really, really bad flaws in logic and reasoning, especially with Emmanuel Lita, who continues to just be the worst character on the show at this point.
And that's terrible because she plays such a significant role later on. But the thing is, we brought this up last time. This is based on Dance Hall of the Dead, which is the #2 book, the second one that Tony Hillerman wrote in the series. And I don't know, and The Sinister Pig, which is either 14th, was it
16th.
either the 14th or the 16th book.
Well,
So you've got such a disparity between the two that I think, because so they use, and I did look at The Sinister Pig, I checked it out.
I figured out the
That's
reason.
the boys. That's the boys part.
Well,
And
I figured out the reason for that, though. I think the people who make the show, they know that they never want to have a point in the show unless it's like the finale where it's only Emmanuel Lita who's like the main character, and then Joe is retired. They never want to do that. So this is like a happy medium where they can tell a later on Emmanuel Lita story while at the same time telling a Joe story. And I think that's a good idea, actually, because I would not want to watch the show if she was in charge, especially after what she's done this season. I would only watch the show if Joe was in charge, because that's the show that I signed up for.
so they're making everything in between these two hugely. I mean, you're talking about years of police work and cases. Everything, they're making it up. So it's all made up.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I know, but I mean, I'm trying to figure out. I've already reread Dance Hall of the Dead a few times. Last year I read it.
You read it
And
last
then
year.
This year, I'm thinking about reading that Sinister Pig. I don't think the Sinister Pig is as long as that Dance Hall of the Dead. And I'm sure, I think he wrote Sinister Pig too. But Tony Hillerman. But I don't think, by that time, he's getting ready to retire. He's like in his late 70s or early 80s. And, his daughter starts to, take over. And she has to learn the ropes of how to do these kinds of books. I mean, he has a flair, or really knack. I mean, for bringing in the environment and the culture, and then the case itself, and all the beliefs. You have all the different Native American groups down there, and that's why they all like him, because he really represented them well, and he got all kinds of awards from these groups down there for accurately representing them in a respectful way. But the books are really good. They're not boring.
I
They're
think
really good.
the last thing I'll say, because now Safi's trying to escape my room. The last thing that I'll say is that there was a scene between Shorty and Jim Chi. I think that it was kind of a missed opportunity. I was curious, like, Shorty got attacked by a monster or something, and he apparently has nothing to say about it.
I know, they found
His
him.
character.
And that's when
So-
Joe got all spooked out. But the last episode, they were looking for the kids, or they were looking for Shorty too, I guess. And
Or wait, no, that what I thought
he
that
was
was
knocked
short.
to the ground.
Yeah, and
yeah,
well, I thought, it's interesting. They didn't have him make any comment about, like, I got attacked by a monster, and, he didn't say anything about the monster when he talked to Jim Chi.
well, he didn't act. Maybe he didn't believe in that, or maybe he didn't think he was.
Then why didn't he say that?
I don't know. He just
There
didn't
wasn't any mention.
It, all.
It was like, oh, that was last week. This is this week.
Yeah.
Whatever happens in that little cabin stays in that cabin, or something. Right, Safi?
I guess so.
Safi, what are you doing?
So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our almost 700 subscribers.
And counting.
And counting. And we still have another Daredevil episode later on in the week.
No, that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Tuesday?
Yeah.
I thought they were on Wednesday.
No.
And we're also going to be reviewing Hannah and her sisters.
Yeah, Safi's torturing me with Woody Allen. It's like worse than going to the dentist is watching Woody Allen movies.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
Not
So-
for the later ones.
So, that's your opinion.
Okay,
So,
everybody. Goodbye.
goodbye.